The first E3 2017 conference is in the books. Was it a big success or a big letdown? Probably somewhere in between. So EA decided to unveil their games first, participating once again in their own show, EA Play. It's separate from E3, but it is still part of the bigger E3 Games week. So wanted to give you guys my take, detail all the announcements that were made, and then give you a review/score for how I think they did. So they came out with their sports stuff first. They brought out Madden. They introduced a career/story mode for Madden, which is very cool. People love the journey stuff on FIFA, and that's now something that they are incorporating into all their sports titles. Later, we saw the one introduced for NBA Live 18, and for Madden 18, it's called Long Shot, I believe, which is, it looks fun. If you're into those games, you know, this is a great way to expand upon what they normally offer from a multiplayer and a solo standpoint, now giving you that campaign, or as close to a campaign as a sports game can get. And, you know, I, for one, personally would have rather them start with Star Wars, but they lead with their sports stuff either because they want to make sure they get that out of the way, or they want to try and wrap you in for as many minutes as possible, get as much watch time as possible. But they went through that. They had a drum line out there. They showed off some screenshots of Madden on Scorpio, so we still have yet to see any Scorpio gameplay, any sort of video. Obviously, that's being saved for Sunday's Microsoft press conference, but it looks really detailed. I mean, I don't know how much more you can tell from a couple screenshots of football pads and pants, but I guess it looks really impressive. They then went on to talk about FIFA and the Journey Hunter Returns, the Alex Hunter mode. They showed some gameplay for FIFA. That is coming. It's also coming to Switch. They didn't talk about it, but they released a press release kind of indicating that FIFA on Switch is not going to have Frostbite, not going to have the Journey, but it will have pretty much everything else. Ultimate Team, career mode, multiplayer, bunch of control options. It's 1080p docked, 720p undocked, and it's the best, you know, FIFA on the go ever, which I think still looks pretty cool. Not the full version, not a complete, there's not complete parity with the other consoles, but it still looks like it could be a fun time. And then they went into NBA Live 18, the resurgence. If you remember, NBA Live 17 was actually delayed/scrapped and moved to 18 because that game wasn't where they wanted it to be at all. So a lot of stuff riding on this year's basketball release. It looks pretty good. Again, that the one mode is their career campaign mode. I've always been a 2K fan myself, but it's cool to see competition in that space, and I'm excited to play them both and kind of determine which game is the better basketball release for 2018. But that's kind of the sports stuff in a nutshell. They also dropped some new Battlefield 1 goodies. They showcased the Eastern Front. They're bringing in the Russians to the Battle of Battlefield 1, which is good for, you know, players that are still into that game, and it was a very successful title. So, of course, they're going to be dropping DLC, and, of course, they're going to be, you know, showcasing. They brought out night maps. They talked about, you know, how much they love their community, and then they showed this trailer for the new expansion, I guess you'd call it, in the Name of the Tsar, which looked pretty cool. And again, if you're into Battlefield 1, they're bringing a lot of content for that, which is great. They talked about the Women's Death Brigade, which sounds pretty ominous, and they moved on from that fairly quickly, which is good because it is an older game. Just give a little update, and then on we go. Now, Need for Speed Payback could have been a brand new announcement, but we knew there was a title coming, and they released a teaser for it a couple days back, so this was just a full unveiling rather than a complete reveal. But they showed gameplay, they did a highway heist, and it's clear that they are very much going for a Fast and Furious type of game. They're bringing in some more of their cinematic flair, that storyline. They've got a crew of 3 racers who are doing a whole lot of stuff. The crashes look cool. The colors are very vibrant. It's Need for Speed. I think that in general, you probably would want to have wanted to see more to show like why is this one so good. I really love Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I think that game had a nice focus, and I think it was very fun, a very cool multiplayer experience, a very cool solo experience. This one could be. I'll be playing it later. I just didn't feel like the trailer did a whole lot to wow. It was kind of an underwhelming trailer, and I even saw people who are fans of the franchise being like, okay, there's a new Need for Speed. It's about a crew. Someone leaves the crew, and people are pissed off, and then they go and make a whole bunch of muck on the highway. That's kind of all we got. Not really, not a whole lot of time spent on Need for Speed, which was interesting. But Payback is coming out November 10th, and I guess it's cool to see more of it. They had a big community focus, and me personally didn't really like it all that much. You know, I'm a YouTuber, obviously, so I'm all for YouTubers being a part of E3 and getting recognition, but when you're just excited to watch a press conference and see a whole bunch of games, I don't know that we really want to see, like, funny moments or clips from a bunch of YouTubers, I don't know, and Twitch streamers. Like, it's nice that EA is acknowledging it. I just don't know that it fits in the press conference, and it kind of, like, I saw someone mention this on Twitter, and it was a good way to kind of describe it. It masked the fact that they didn't have a lot of stuff, because there really weren't a whole bunch of announcements. It was, you know, their trio of sports titles, and then a whole lot of Battlefront 2, and some smaller announcements. One was A Way Out, a new game from the guy that made Brothers, Tale of Two Sons, which was a very innovative and awesome co-op experience with yourself. And now this time it's a true co-op experience. Two dudes, basically looks like they're trying to get out of prison, break out, a little prison break vibe there. Seems pretty cool. The designer was very passionate about it. It's coming out early 2018. It looks like another unique, fun indie game, and I'm all for that. Hazelight seems like a studio that has a lot of passion, a lot of unique ideas, so I'll be playing that. I think it looks really fun. It's not like a tentpole E3 announcement, but it's good to see that EA is still supporting smaller games as well. They also showed the first teaser for Anthem, which is BioWare's big new IP. Now, you may have seen this rumored or discussed previously, named Dylan. It's now Anthem, which is a much better name than Dylan. I don't know if it's a great game name. I don't know. Like, let's go play Anthem. I think of Anthem Health Insurance. So that's kind of a weird connection in my brain. But if you don't think of it that way, maybe it's a cool name. It kind of looked like a mixture, a blend, the baby of Horizon and Destiny, which I think is an awesome set of games. So if they're able to fully realize some game that combines Horizon and Destiny, bow down, I will be there. This is supposed to be their title that competes as more of a service-style game, unlike something like Dragon Age or Mass Effect. They're looking to go bigger and looking to go online, and it's been said to be like a Destiny-like game, and they're going to show much more of it, apparently, on Scorpio at the Xbox conference, which is pretty cool. It's not an Xbox exclusive at all, but they are going to show more at the Xbox conference. So there's not really a whole lot to say about Anthem. Yay for BioWare for getting something out of there and putting Andromeda in the past. I hope it turns out awesome. I'm all for another game like Destiny, because maybe it can do things differently, and maybe if it has a smaller player base, not as much pure just hype behind it, maybe it will push them to work even harder and deliver something that gameplay-wise is more innovative and more exciting and more interesting. That would be great. We'd love stuff in that space to compete with games like The Division and Destiny and push them. And you know, it's always great to have something new from a big studio, and I hope they're able to really fully realize their vision this time, because clearly Mass Effect had a very tortured development cycle, and it'd be great to see them get back on track. So I like the Anthem teaser. I don't know what the heck the game really is, but Horizon plus Destiny, I like that. I'm all about that. Then it was on to Battlefront 2, and they did something I found really, really weird. They brought out, or showed rather, a video of John Boyega and talked about how single player and campaign was the one thing people really wanted. And they were very blunt and honest. You know, they got up there and said Battlefront did some great things, Battlefront got some not so great feedback, and we tried to take all of that and make the best Battlefront 2 we could, which is awesome. But it was a little weird that they show John Boyega, they show his tweet about the campaign, they show a ton of other tweets about single player, and then they show no single player. I mean, they talked about single player, they brought out the actress that plays the main character in the campaign, and they said, you know, it's an amazing story that connects Return of the Jedi with Force Awakens, which is really cool, and we saw some cutscene action, but nothing that really indicates what that game is, what that side of the game is. Is it a true story? Is it a true first-person / third-person shooter campaign, or is it more playing on the multiplayer maps with bots? I don't know. I'm hoping that we see it at Sony's conference. They do have the partnership with PlayStation for Battlefront 2 and the beta, so maybe they'll be the ones to reveal campaign. I would hope so. I gotta think so, right? Unless they're saving it for some Gamescom reveal or a separate event down the line. You would hope that they would show campaign, especially after they spent a good chunk of time talking about campaign and how they've added it and how that's such an important part of this year's release. to not show it was odd and kind of frustrating for me. But they did show a lot of multiplayer, and it really looks glorious. The game is absolutely gorgeous. It seems like they've cleaned things up a lot. It seems like they have really gotten rid of some more of the kind of silly elements, like a whole bunch of the tokens and some of the things that kind of made it feel not as Battlefront of yesteryear, not as Battlefield, I guess. And it seems like they have tightened things up and made it much more of a tried and true shooter, which I don't think is a bad thing because it still incorporates the unique Star Wars elements. You got droids battling, you got all sorts of vehicles, much bigger focus on vehicles. You have new heroes, right? So Darth Maul, Rey, that's all going to be a part of it. 3 eras of Star Wars, which is great. And again, it looked absolutely incredible. One of the best looking games I have ever seen. It looked amazing. The colors were so vibrant. Great map to show off. Going to play that actually as soon as I'm done recording this video. So excited to see how it actually plays, and I'll be back with impressions of that. But I thought that looked really good. Showing 30 minutes of commentated gameplay is a little weird. Maybe it would have been better to do non-commentated or more of a like cycle through some maps. But I guess it does give you the very cut and dry, clear indication that this is real gameplay. There's no BS. It's absolutely live. It's absolutely happening. This is how it looks. You don't have to worry about downgrades or bull shots or any of that. It just straight up gameplay, and that was great and fun to see. And I love the environments, how it kind of moved from indoors to outdoors, and Darth Maul looked real strong, but obviously there's time to balance things if need be. But I'm super excited for that one. I worried still about the campaign, but I think multiplayer looks like a big step up. It looks like a notable improvement on a gameplay side, on a graphics side, on a content side. Those are 3 pillars that we wanted them to hit, and it seems like they have done just that in all 3 avenues. Now, the 4th lane is the single player, and that lane to me is pretty wide, so I hope they're able to nail that and it doesn't turn into a train wreck. We'll find out hopefully Monday. I got to imagine it's at Sony's conference. So that kind of was it. There wasn't really any big shocker. There was nothing from Visceral. They didn't really indicate much about the future. They did show the teaser for the BioWare game Anthem, but more gameplay coming at Xbox, so it's not even like they had the big reveal. Kind of a light show for EA. I think they get big props for Battlefront 2 looking incredibly glorious, and they get props for approaching the DLC in a really exciting way. They're doing seasons, which is a fun thing to do, and they're doing all the content free, which is awesome. I'm sure there still will be some sort of premium content in the form of currency, in the form of skins, in the form of star cards, because those are back. But it sounds like they're going to try and really keep the player base united and really deliver a longevity that maybe wasn't there for the first rebooted Battlefront, and that's awesome. I applaud them for going that route. It is definitely a player gamer focused route, and that's good. So they get points for Star Wars looking great. They get points for the DLC approach. They get points for all of their sports titles incorporating these kind of fun and very cool looking campaign modes. They get points for Anthem being a very cool teaser and having a really great aesthetic, one that I think could be super exciting. We don't know what the heck that game is, but not much else. And that is where I am left wanting. It's great to see A Way Out. It's great to see a new indie game, but this is a major publisher. This is a major publisher that feels so confident that they have their own thing, their own show. EA Play isn't even in downtown LA. It's in Hollywood, and they've got their own setup. And they were very creator focused. They were very community centered, which I'm curious to see what your feedback is on that and how you felt about that. Did you like that? Did it feel like it was just fluff that didn't need to be there? Personally, I would rather just do the Sony route where it's just like games, developer, games, developer, games. Like, at a certain point, it kind of feels a little cringy to have all of this, like, oh my God, moments in the middle of your conference where you're supposed to be announcing stuff. And it's probably just because they didn't have a whole lot to show. And instead of doing what they've done years past, where they do kind of the studio behind the scenes video, they elected to not really show anything. So no words, no new info on Amy Hennig's Star Wars game. Obviously no update then from Visceral. Nothing on, franchises that we miss like Dead Space. Nothing really on the future. It was sports. It was Star Wars. It was a Battlefield 1 update, a new indie title, and then a whole lot of multiplayer gameplay. So I'm very curious to know you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. What would you rate the EA conference? What was your favorite moment, your least favorite moment? Did you think they did a good job? Was it a poor performance? My favorite moment was definitely just seeing how beautiful Battlefront 2 was, and then Anthem being a runner-up. My least favorite moment was how much fluff the conference had and how many moments I just didn't even care to look at or watch, and that they didn't really lay groundwork for the future. Maybe that's going to be a trend that kind of takes shape this E3. Maybe we're going to see a lot more of 2017-centric conferences and 2017-focused demos and 2017-focused lineups as opposed to going 2018. We know Nintendo's planning on centering their spotlight on 2017. Sony has a lot left to show for 2017. Maybe that's going to be a thing this year. Either way, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. It wasn't very impressive. I liked Battlefront 2 a lot. There wasn't a whole lot of new announcements. So it's, yeah. There was no major blunders, nothing that was offensive, but nothing that great. So I think it's a start for E3, but I think you have to hope that Microsoft, Bethesda, Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo are able to elevate above this show. I'm very excited to go play Battlefront 2. I'm going to go do that right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're pumped for E3, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the big show. I'll be there, be bringing you as much coverage as I possibly can, gameplay impressions, hands-on, all that good stuff. For now, though, let me know your thoughts on EA's conference. That is their shebang in the bag. Thought it was pretty mediocre, but I'm excited for Battlefront, so I'm going to go do that. You guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, drink much all. Thanks again. I love you, and we will see you all later.